welcome to another episode of Seeing Red, live on location from my study with many leather-bound books and a fireplace. As always, I'm your host, Joe Amanzata, here to talk more Calgary Flames hockey. And with the Heritage Classic right around the corner, it really only made sense to bring on an Oilers guy and talk about, the BOA, because that for me is a very big part of being a Flames fan is, obviously cheering on the Calgary Flames, but also cheering on the downfall of our neighbors to the north. So felt like a hand in glove fit. And, alongside me, as always, is my producer, Cody Dickinson. Can't do it without him. There he is. Cody, how's it going?
What's up?
How's the night so far?
It's good. It's good to be back at this. It'd be nicer if the Flames were winning some fucking hockey games, but
yeah,
here we are.
Hey, you can't have them all.
Some more disappointment.
That's right. And because misery loves company, we brought in a fan of probably the only team worse than the Calgary Flames at this moment in time. He is the mastermind behind Bar Bachelor YYC and a good, stoic, integrated man. You can hear him talk all about that on his own podcast called Slow Down Man. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Lags.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for seeing red with us today, Mitch.
It's my pleasure. I don't see red often. I usually see, blue and orange, but it's good to mix it up every once in a while.
Totally. Blue and orange in varying hues. I find that the Oilers, like jersey history, like the color palette history is just, it's all over the place. It's comprehensive. It's thorough. There's like all kinds of blue and orange in that thing. So, anyway, to bring it back to the topic at hand, Heritage Classic coming around. Wanted to kind of, get a look behind enemy lines and how you guys are feeling about your season thus far. And then, parlay that into talking a little bit about the Heritage Classic meta. So, Mitch, why don't you start with, what is it, 1-5-1? What is the record right now? It's not good in all country.
It's bad. I think it's 1-4-1. But either way, really bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah. So Mitch, I can only speak for myself. Like, obviously I am sick, right? Like I need help. I watch every second of every Calgary Flames game. Have done so for years. Have you watched, the majority of the Oilers season thus far? Do you feel like you have a good grasp of what's going on there?
For sure. Unfortunately, I have watched most of this pathetic start to the season. I don't know. There was so much. I've never had this much hype or heard this much hype coming into the season for the Oilers, let alone like any team ever.
Right.
And what an absolute gong show in turn. I don't think you could script it worse in terms of how they start. 1 win in 6 games, goaltending sucks. McDavid's injured. The list goes on, man.
That's right. It's so I listened to Flames postgame one of these many nights, and one of the broadcasters, Megan Mickelson, actually, she was like, the good news is the sky isn't falling, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. But in Edmonton, it's okay, the goalie, to your point, there was all this hype. I couldn't go anywhere without someone being like, the Edmonton Oilers are cup bound. They lost to the eventual cup winners 2 years in a row. They have generational talents up and down the lineup. All of a sudden, they have depth. They brought Connor McDavid's old drinking buddy, Connor Brown, into the mix. The vibes are immaculate. And yet, a lot of the big question marks that have kind of plagued the Oilers in the past, i.e., what are you getting from the defense core? What's going on between the pipes? Offensively, is it going to be Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and the guys? Or can you get some consistent production from forwards 3 through 12? I feel like a lot of those, kind of narratives have really kind of reared their ugly heads early on in the season as a bystander down south here, right? So
for sure, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
The one piece that I'm getting, the one glimmer of hope, I would say right now, is that everything I've read is they're getting absolutely destroyed. The goaltending sucks. What defense is not playing well, whatever. But but their stats, like, their fancy underlying stats,
the
analytics, they say they're okay. They say they're, above 50% in all the fancy stats, and that, the ship should right itself eventually. Watching the game, I don't know how that's possible, but hey, we'll hold out hope.
That's right. The eye test and the actual data, sometimes they are kind of contradictory. And, I'm here to tell you, Mitch, I've lived through it. It doesn't necessarily get better. Because
with the fancy stats looking good, but the actual team looking stinky. Yeah,
absolutely. And in fact, Cody, I don't know if you want to hop back in here, but does this team not look a lot like it did last year? With maybe drive and play, high danger chances are through the roof, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But on the ice, you're just like, I don't see it.
Well, yeah, you can look at the stats all you want, but the eye test is, for me this year, is just saying this is a team that doesn't want to be. They're just uninterested in playing hockey and playing together, and it just looks like it doesn't look like a cohesive unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly. Sorry,
I guess uninspired would be the big word that I would use to describe the club right now. They just don't look. They look fine for the first period for most of the games, but then it just kind of disappears.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important distinction. To throw it back to your Oilers, Mitch. For us, it's the team just looks like it's not playing,
right?
As a team, or just in general. Sorry, hold on, what came out here? There we go. Nice. But they just don't look like a team that's playing hockey. And therein, I think, lies a very important distinction. Because from my vantage point, certainly from Cody's vantage point, it looks like the Flames just seem kind of lackadaisical, kind of go with the flow, going through the motions. I'm not seeing a lot of fight, a lot of fire. I'm curious kind of what your diagnosis is on what you think the root cause might be for the Oilers' struggles thus far. Is it an attitude thing? Are they not gelling? I know they brought in a couple new guys, but I think largely it's the same group. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think from watching the games, I mean, I'm not in the locker room, but from watching the games, they seem like it almost seems like they're trying too hard, if that makes sense. They came in with such high expectation, and it almost seems like, the goalie, like Jack Campbell, looks like he's gonna he looks like he wants to kill himself after every goal he lets in. And
poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it almost looks like, the classic case of the harder you try, the more fleeting that success seems to be.
Yeah, you gotta let go.
So yeah, maybe the opposite of what's going on with the Flames. But I find that interesting with the Flames. Everything I heard going into the season was the bad man's gone, Sutter's gone.
Yeah.
They can spread their wings. Vibes are so high. I read so much shit about how high the vibes were. That doesn't seem to be the case, eh?
No, it's a lot of deja vu all over again. A lot of the 2022 storylines seem to be continuing despite the fact that Daryl has moved on, and I actually think that kind of ties in with another kind of question I wanted to ask you about your Oilers. Is Jay Woodcroft was probably the smuggest dude in the history of smugdom when I hate talking about it, but the last battle of Alberta in the playoffs where the Flames lost 4-1, whatever. We don't have to get into it. But Jay Woodcroft was very smug, and he came in midway through the year. I think the Oilers were struggling, from what I remember. They weren't playing up to their level, and then he comes in, and they're like, "Oh my God, we found this savant. This guy's getting so much out of our team." I think he's a first-time head coach as well. And the Oilers went on to beat the Flames, lost kind of embarrassingly to the Avs. Again, we won't talk about it. It happens to everybody. Sometimes you just run into Nathan McKinnon.
They were good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously last year was a thing. They did win another round, right? And they lost the second to the Knights.
Yeah, to Vegas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now here we are this year. And right now it's looking. So he basically has about a year and a half under his belt of managing this team. And I'm wondering if it's is his inexperience starting to show a little bit? Is he having a hard time kind of corralling this team? it's a little early to tell, but I think, if this drags on into, 10 games where they're not looking too good, 15 games where they're not looking too good, when do you kind of pull the plug and be like, or maybe not pull the plug, but start looking at like, is the coach the right guy for this team at this stage?
Yeah, it's good. I actually was thinking that today. I'm like, how many more losses till, the articles come out about, is Jay the next one or is Jay on the hot seat? Is he on the way out? I honestly, man, I think at the end of the day, like Connor McDavid calls the shots on the team. It's kind of like the LBJ in basketball. Like if he wants a new coach, he gets a new coach.
Right.
He seems to be really high on Jay Woodcroft, or always has been. I don't know. I haven't seen him talk about Jay at all this year, but there was something telling in their game yesterday, though, against Minnesota. They had 3 too many men on the ice calls in one game. I don't know about you. I've never seen that before.
Me either.
But 3. That to me is a coach thing, right? Like that's the coach not having the guys in the zone, not having, not having the bench structure and everyone clear on when they're jumping on the ice, etc. So I don't know. To me, that's a bad sign, and maybe the sign of something to come. But like you said, I think it's too early to tell right now. For
sure. All right, Mitch, we hopped right into the hockey convo. We just couldn't wait to talk puck here. But, I also brought you on because in my group of friends, as, most listeners are probably in that group of friends. But for those who are uninitiated, like it's me and a bunch of dudes who love the Flames and then Mitch, I feel like sometimes you end up catching a few strays just through proxy, and sometimes we forget that you don't cheer for the same team as we do. So I'd love for you to touch on how, because like we've known each other a long time, so I know you grew up here. At some point you became an Oilers fan. I don't know if that was before you moved here or during, but if you could talk about like your Oiler villain origin story, that'd be awesome.
What went wrong?
Where did all go wrong?
Yeah, it's funny, man. So my grandpa, who's since passed away, but he lived in Edmonton during the glory days when Gretzky and Messier were winning all the cups. And then he later moved, my dad and his family down to Calgary. And so growing up, my grandpa had season tickets to the Flames, but was still a diehard Oiler fan. So I grew up going to Flames games and basically being brainwashed and told by my grandpa, like, don't cheer for that team. Yeah. And he was never like egregious or aggressive against the Flames, but he would, say that they're playing the Ducks on a Tuesday night. I'm at him with the game and the Ducks score. He would like clap quietly under his chair kind of thing.
Yeah.
Man. So yeah, that was the origin story.
That's awesome. Wow, sounds like a stand-up guy too. I'm not sure I could restrain myself as much. Like if the roles were reversed and I'm in Edmonton and I have season tickets to Rogers Arena because Rogers Place, because I just won the lottery. Yeah. I'm never gonna get used to that, by the way. Like Rogers Arena being in Vancouver. Yeah. Rogers
you sponsor too many arenas, Rogers.
Yeah, that's right. Rogers knows that. I know you know a thing or two about Rogers sponsorship.
Sure do. Yeah.
Actually, this might be a good portion that we could always delete and post. I'm not sure if you were comfortable sharing anything, but if you want to talk about being tournament director, if you have any follies about rubbing elbows with any of the hockey guys, I think that'd be some good radio content.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's cool. Yeah. So what you're referring to, we had like a Legends of Hockey event at the Shaw Charity Classic presented by Rogers this year, and there's some NHL guys there. Yeah, it was cool, man. Being around those guys, they're all like much better golfers than I would have thought.
Your boys,
honestly, I wish I had like a crazy story for you, but for the most part, they're just like good dudes. They were all really good to work with in the planning of the event, and it's something. I think it went really well. So I think it's something. Yeah. It was all very last second this year planning that. So I think, for the coming years, we're hoping to really blow it up and, do something really cool. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I never would have guessed that it was kind of slapped together, kind of last minute, because
that's good to hear.
Yeah, because it went so smoothly. I thought it was great. It was definitely like the highlight of the week for me.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that's cool. Right on. But yeah, what were we talking about? Rogers Place, Rogers Arena. Yeah, if I was a season ticket holder at
Yeah.
Rogers Place, and yeah, I wouldn't be able to contain myself. I'd be quite obnoxious about it. But that's awesome. So you were an Oilers fan, throughout. There were some very lean years.
Oh boy.
Very lean years. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about those formative years. I think that 06 Cup run probably is one that sticks out in your head. The Jarrett Stoll, Alois Hemsky, Sean Horcoff teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was dire. Like, what was that like? Because there's a lot of rumblings in Cowtown right now with the team being in such utter disarray.
Yeah.
That like, oh, is it time for the rebuild? And I'm like,
Right.
I think you guys are looking at a rebuild with rose-colored glasses. I don't think you understand what it means to have your team be the worst team in the league.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet.
It's it's good. Yeah. To answer your question, like 2006 was awesome. I was like 13 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I would say my grandpa had already done his pre-brainwashing prior to 06. 06 made me, I was like, I'm in. I love this team. And then, the subsequent 10 years, not so good. Were not so fun. The Nikita Nikitin years were not so fun.
Yes, the Martin Marincin years.
It's it's tough, man. It's the one. There's a lot of hope, a lot of excitement towards the end of the year when you're like, all you're looking forward to is the draft, right? And obviously the Oilers had some good draft positions over the years.
Certainly, I'd say so.
So that's what you get excited for. You going into the season, you're like, there's no way in hell we do anything this year. So it's a lot of hope building, then being let down, and then being like, holy, how long is this thing gonna last? It sucked. I can't sugarcoat it. I would not recommend.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. I'll be sure to tell everybody that, because I'm like, I don't think you guys understand what you're asking for here.
Yeah. Exactly.
To tear it down to the studs, like, that's terrible, man. Like, look at how mad the fan base is, and we've had 7 bad games. Imagine like 820 bad games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Imagine losing like every game 6-0, 6-1, 5-1, just so bad.
That sounds awful. And they're already not selling out. Like, there was 16-8 reported last night, which is like the lowest crowd since the pandemic.
Wow. Oh, that's not good. I know Winnipeg actually is in a similar spot. They're really worried that if they have to rebuild, like, the team might be on the move again.
Yeah. I mean, like, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me chicken soup with rice, right? Like, they lost the team once already. They can do it again, I guess. So
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's scary times to think of a rebuild. But now, transitioning into the right now, we're all looking at the future. We're all looking at the past. We're looking right now. We got a little bit of a hockey game coming up on Sunday. The Heritage Classic. Let's start off with the softball. Have you looked at the uniforms? What are your thoughts? I kind of prefaced early that, like, man, the Oilers have had some kits. They always put together something.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know who their design guy is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen them. It's funny you bring up the Oilers jerseys. I actually, unpopular take amongst Oilers fans, but I think the Flames have like a top 5. I think their retro is a top 5 jersey in the league.
I agree. And actually, while we're talking unpopular opinions, I actually think the Oilers, like, royal blues with the orange shoulder pads, I'm glad they brought those back. I think that's just like an iconic sports uniform.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really good.
Agree. Now, all of the other things that the Edmonton jersey design guys have tried largely over the last like 6 years, not great. But I actually don't mind the Heritage Classic jersey on the Edmonton side. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think it's cool. The pants are kind of weird.
Yeah. Would you purchase one?
No, I wouldn't. I think in about 5 years, man, if you see me wearing that Heritage Classic jersey, it looks like it was like I ordered it from China and they sent me the wrong jersey or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna say like McDavid.
Yeah. What do you think about the Flames jerseys?
They're just a little underwhelming. I wanted more, especially after they did the fucking mustard tiger jerseys, so the ketchup mustard stripes. Like they can really make this thing goofy. But I'm glad they went with like a cream. At least that kind of feels, faux back retro-y enough. Yeah. And you know what? I just spent the last 5 minutes ragging on the Oilers kits, but I actually think they'll like look good in application. They'll be like a fine uniform on the ice. Yeah. But I would not. I mean, if someone wore that to like the bar, I feel like that'd be a really tough look.
Oh yeah, I'd have to make fun of them. Yeah,
I wouldn't have any choice, right? So, yeah. Anyways, but the Heritage Classic in general, like, I feel like I can only speak for myself, but I wish I was more pumped about it. It feels like it's maybe oversaturated. Like we've just had so many Heritage Classics. Like this is actually the 20th anniversary of it. It started with the Oilers too, right? Obviously playing the Canadians or whatever, way back when. So, what are your thoughts on the Heritage Classic? Will you be attending? Do you have any appetite to attend? I know the tickets are also really expensive, so that kind of prices out a lot of people. But
yeah, no, I think what you said is exactly how I feel. Like I think it used to be super cool, like all the outdoor games, the Heritage Classics. But I think once a cool thing is done too many times or is overdone, it no longer is cool. And I think that's kind of what's happened with this game. In that, like, I looked at when I saw it was coming to Edmonton, like Flames Oilers, I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. How much are tickets? Oh, they're $300.
Yeah,
I'd rather just like go to a playoff game.
Right,
they make the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, whoa, we can't. All right, come on. 7 games in, Mitch. Come on, don't give up hope.
So, so we'll see. But, yeah, I didn't really think about going. And I think, obviously, the shitty starts to the seasons by both teams. It's turning out to be a bit of a toilet bowl early on. But
yes.
I think it'll still be good. Like, obviously, I'll tune in. It should be a good game.
Like, I consider myself to be a pretty illogical guy. I do not think a lot of things through. But if you were someone to, like, get the abacus out, write the whole pros and cons table, and really think about evaluating going to the Heritage Classic, it's just cons down the list. It's like, first of all, it's far, right? It's a 2-hour drive. It's at Commonwealth Stadium. That place is a dump. It's going to be -10. That's terrible. Like, it's expensive. My team sucks. Like, why? Why would I go?
Yeah, you're not making a strong case. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's kind of a perfect storm where I'm going to be very curious to see what that attendance is like, because I bet you they're going to report a sellout. But, like, do you know anybody going? Like, I don't.
Not a single person. No.
Yeah. I haven't even heard a buzz about it. I haven't even heard someone being like, yo, like, are you considering going to the game? Everything I've heard is just from, our shared buddy Tommy being like, yo, should we go to the bar on Sunday? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be kind of a goofy one. And I hope it's not a flop, but like it might be. It might be.
Yeah. Let's hope. You know what? The NHL, this is like their baby, I'm pretty sure, these outdoor games. And so I'm sure they'll find a way to fill those seats, but there's no way they're selling that thing out.
Yeah, I think that brings up kind of another like weird kind of tangent we can kind of go on. But like the NHL's trying really hard. They're trying really hard to like make the game more interesting or expand their fan base. Like we just had the Frozen Frenzy on Tuesday. It's like every game 15 minutes apart on a Tuesday night. It's like you're so close. You're so close, but
I was gonna say, it's a bit. That seemed like a bit of a swing and a miss to me. The Frozen Frenzy, like cool idea, like Red Zone is awesome.
Yes, we all love Red Zone.
But I'm at work on Tuesday at like 4:00
at 4:30. Yeah, I'm driving home.
Yeah. So I don't know. It felt, I don't know, something was off about it.
Totally, and like I think about just the NHL's like failed attempts at like. Like the NBA will have like a couple preseason games in like Canada, and like they'll have one in Australia, and like, but like the Flames played the Bruins in China. Like, what? I think that was where Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny were like, no way, I'm signing here. It's bad enough that you drag me to Calgary for 7 months out of the year. Yeah, now I'm in China. Like, what the hell is this? So, I don't know. NHL, hey, give us a call. We can help you out. Help me help
Trying
you.
too hard. Yeah.
Trying too hard. You just got to relax, you know? Stop squeezing the sawdust out of the stick. Okay, well, you know what, Mitch? This has been a really fun conversation. I just want to, we'll wrap it up with just a quick prediction. Let me know give me a score. Give me a person who's going to score. Just let me know what is your gut telling you Sunday about the hockey game.
You know what? I think the score all depends on if Connor's healthy, and I think
is he healthy?
No, well, he's injured right now, but now they're saying like 1 to 2 weeks, but there's a chance he comes back Saturday, and I'm like, oh, so he's coming back or Sunday. So I'm like, oh, he's coming back Sunday.
But sorry, quick sidebar.
Yeah,
like, what do you like? Is he healthy in your opinion?
I don't know, man. They're very cryptic about anything to do with McDavid. Like all they're saying is like upper body injury. I think Jay Woodcroft came out and was like, it's a muscular injury or something. So to answer your question, I have no idea if he's. I doubt, but he seems like the kind of guy that'll push through anything. You know?
Right. So so let's assume McDavid's playing.
Yeah. Let's say I'm going to say 4-2 Edmonton with an empty netter.
Wow, I love it. Okay, and who's between the pipes? Who are you giving the nod to?
Well, I think Stuart Skinner is going to play tomorrow in New York. If they get routed, then it'll probably be Campbell on Sunday. But if I had to guess, Stuart Skinner, like Jack Campbell.
We could only be so lucky to have Jack Campbell on Sunday night. That's the goalie I want. I want. Yeah. I want to shoot on soup. But yeah, okay, I love it. I'm curious about this McDavid stuff, dude, because you know you mentioned earlier like he calls his own shots. If McDavid says he's playing, he's playing.
Yeah.
But I feel like if there's anybody you got to be careful with, it's like, and like this team can't be without him long term. Like heaven forbid it's a tweak or something. You're outside, man. You know, like there could be like an errant snowball thrown by Doug from Okotoks, who's sitting row 1, you know, like, and that might derail your whole season. I don't know. I kind of think he kid gloves him. But
I hope so. I would rather them lose on Sunday and McDavid's okay than him, you know, do something.
Totally. Stupid. And, you know, we just spent the last 5 minutes being like, this, like, you're gonna risk your whole season for the Heritage Classic, man. You know, like McDavid, dude, it ain't that deep, bro. It's all good.
In front of 2,000 people.
Yeah. Seriously, we got our sight set higher. Okay, I'm gonna go with a very conservative 7-1 Calgary Flames.
Oh, wow.
I'll be taking no further questions. Hey, if Jack Campbell's between the pipes, I think it's
Campbell's a night. That's a really spot on prediction. Yeah.
They've scored 7 goals all year. They're gonna get 7 more on Sunday. Here we go. Right on.
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks a lot, Mitch. It was great having you on, and I look forward to catching up with you on the weekend when we inevitably watch this shit bowl.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.